talked about the economy earlier. Had a great conversation with Derek Hall about playoff baseball back in the Valley. I'm a big sports fan, always have been. My first love is football. I love the game of football, but I love all the major sports here. I will even tell you, I'm going to lump one in that I think is going to be a huge attraction here in Arizona very soon, and I'm surprised that it already isn't MLS. Is Phoenix Rising. I think there is a huge fan base for soccer in Arizona. We've seen it at their games. I think they are a well-structured organization, and I think pretty soon MLS is going to be here. It's going to be another one of those top tier, along with the NBA and along with the NHL and Major League Baseball and the NFL. They're going to be talking about MLS as well. I think it's a big draw. We have seen how popular it is. But the Super Bowl brought $1.3 billion into our economy. And a lot of that was wages. According to a study, $460 million of that was wages that were paid to employees. $726 million was added to the state's economy just for the Super Bowl. That is an amazing amount of money. And I talk about a thriving economy, and I think culture is a big part of things. One of the things that I guess growing up, I noticed it's different. I grew up in very similar circumstances to where I grew up when I moved to Arizona. Arizona has been a very transient place. People that live here for a long time weren't born here. It's changing a little bit as families have moved in, but we still are pretty transient. The same thing with Southwest Florida. I was born in Northeast Ohio, so the Cleveland Browns are a staple there. The Guardians, as they're called now, it used to be the Cleveland Indians, another sport, very, very dug in and entrenched in the fabric of the community. But the Browns especially, and so creating that in a new place. Now, in Southwest Florida, where I grew up, I was about the same distance from Tampa as I was from Miami. The Miami Dolphins were pretty entrenched in a long-time NFL franchise, and 72, the only undefeated team, but then in came the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got the Jacksonville Jaguars now. But when you hear in Arizona, you see this a lot, that people go to games and it's not as entrenched in the culture as it is in other places, but it's going in that direction. And the more that you win and the more you are more entrenched in the community, the more people love the franchise. And I think the Diamondbacks are doing this the right way. And what I mean by that is the team that won the World Series in 2001 was amazing, and it was a team that was built with veterans. They went out and they got veterans. We're going to be releasing pretty soon the podcast I did with Jerry Colangelo, who was the owner, and he talks in that podcast about how they acquired Randy Johnson. It's in the Amazing Arizonans podcast. We'll be releasing it in the next couple of weeks and let you know exactly when. But They didn't build that team from the ground up. They went out and got pieces that work together. And it's one way to build, and it's a terrific thing. And Gonzo, I love Gonzo. I think he's just a great guy. And it's a privilege to get to know him a little bit and do some events with him. And he's also been on the podcast. But these were veteran players, some other places that were brought in and built a team that was cohesive. And Bob Brenly and the manager, and they brought that team together and won a World Series. That's terrific. What the Diamondbacks are doing with this team is a ground-up team. This is from their farm system. This is grown up through the minor leagues, brought them in. Corbin Carroll is a 23-year-old phenom that for a decade is going to be the face of this franchise. They've got a great pitching staff. They've got a lot of young players. It's fun to watch. And when you go to the games now, what's terrific is the fan base is bought into this new generation. You are seeing those young players' jerseys on the backs of people in the stands, and it's not just the players from years past. I mention all of this and how it pertains to the economy because I want you to think about a week from today, or from yesterday, 6 days from now, when the D-backs are playing at Chase Field, and the TV cameras from around the country are here, and it's a full stadium, and let's hope there's not too much Dodger blue in that stadium. But downtown will be buzzing. The restaurants are going to be busy. Cabs and the pedicabs and the bars and all of those places are going to be full. And after the game, people are going to spill out and go to those places as well. It is good for the economy of Arizona. The Super Bowl and over $1 billion added into our economy. This is just good for us. And what it does about the culture, the investment that's made. When you move to a city, when you move to a neighborhood, I don't know what you look at, and I guess it depends on what station you are in life. If you've got kids, when you move into a neighborhood, is it kid friendly? Is there parks and playgrounds, and how are the schools? And it is about community. If you're retired, golf courses, and now it's pickleball and other amenities. Are they nearby where I can go? When you have the culture, and a lot of cities invest in golf courses, and we talked about libraries earlier, these are investments that we make in the community to make them more livable. Your tax dollars are spent in a community to make that community livable. And you've got green spaces for kids in an inner city where if you live in a neighborhood and you've got children and there is a park with soccer fields and baseball fields and Pop Warner football, that's an attractive place to be. Yes, you want quality schools, all that is there, but how livable is the place that you live? Smart cities invest in livable spaces. Culture. One of the things that builds culture are the investments in these sports franchises. And the argument, at least for me, the argument of saying, well, these are billionaires that are just getting richer. Yes, they are. And that's what they do. And I want them bringing their billion-dollar franchises here. And I want them building stadiums here that we help build. Because if you have a small business, if you're in the service industry, the Phoenix Suns are predicted to be one of the best teams in the NBA again this coming year. They are setting the league on fire with the moves they've made and the potential of what they're going to put on the floor every night. If you're a business owner, if you own one of the parking lots, if you own a restaurant or you own a bar within 3 miles of that arena, all those nights when that place is packed before and after the games, what does that do for the economy of your business? How important is it? It is critical to that. And those are investments. You know that the arena that the Phoenix Suns play in is owned by the city of Phoenix. Now, there is the upkeep and the infrastructure taken care of by the city. Amenities and improvements many times are taken care of by the team. They have concerts and events in those venues. They're good investments. I just look at this and say you're investing in the community around you. The Diamondbacks are now proving again the resurgence of this team and the downtown area. They made the playoffs here. They got a tough hill to climb. If they somehow get past the Dodgers, they're probably going to take on the Braves, but it's going to be the Braves or the Phillies. And imagine that conversation of the possibility in the championship series. And what does it do next year? What does it do for filling those stands next year and having more and more fans in those seats? They had a huge rise in attendance this season. Next season's going to be even bigger. What does that do for the businesses downtown? Those are the things I think about.